Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think this is going to be the Juz 13 series because we only have two surahs. We have Surah Ra'D and Surah Ibrahim. Surah Ra'D is 43, around 43 ayat, and Surah Ibrahim isn't short of 50 ayat, around 50. So I think it's going to be easy to memorize both, Insha Allah. And at the same time, I'm going to share my learnings of the tafseer. So first of all, this video is going to go through ayahs 1 to 6 first. So Ra'd, the thunder. Now, thunder is where you are notified of a future storm, right? So in the same sense, thunder is a metaphor for warning of a future punishment. The first ayah talks about the Quran, the revelation as a miracle. Alif Lam Mim Ra Tilka ayatul kitab. Now, tilka, these, ayat. Now we know what ayat are. They're verses of the Quran. But in this context, you can also think of ayat, the literal meaning of the word ayat, as signs, right? Or miracles. So you know that the Quran is a miracle. وَالَّذِي أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ الْحَقِّ. Okay, so unzil, something that has been revealed. إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. مِنْ رَبِّكَ, from your Lord to you. So مِنْ رَبِّكَ, the word Rabb emphasizes our relationship with Allah as the God who sustains us and wants the best for us. That is what the word Rabb entails, your Lord that wants the best for you. And on that basis, Allah wants the best for us, which is why He has revealed the Quran as Al-Haqq, right? To protect us from resurrection or for us to lead our best lives. وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. وَلَكِن means but. Akthar means most, right? So the rest of this ayah talks about how most people don't believe. And nas is the people. La yu'minun. Okay, yu'min comes from the roots of mu'min, right? So mu'min is a believer, yu'min is to believe. So the norm is that most people won't believe, despite the Quran being the ultimate truth. Just like a seesaw, despite absolute truth, you have low acceptance, which is what sets the tone for the rest of the surah. Okay, ayah 2 talks about the heavens. So, Allah الذي رفع السماوات بغير عمد ترونها. Okay, so Allah is the one who has raised. رفع is to raise. السماوات بغير عمد ترونها. عمد is pillars. So Allah has raised the heavens without pillars that you see. The reason why we jump to the heavens is because from ayah 1, the revelation that we talk about come from the heavens, right? And we can appreciate the unseen. You know, we don't see the heavens, we don't see the pillars because there may not be pillars. And so we appreciate the grandeur of the heavens without having pillars to support it because of the design that Allah has made the heavens by, right? ثم استوى على العرش, right? So Allah then established upon the throne. So this connotes His supreme authority and command across the entire universe. وَسَخَّرَ الشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ. Okay, so sakhara means to domesticate, like you domesticate animals and put them to work. So in Surah Ar-Rahman, Allah talks about using the sun as our clock and the moon as our calendar. So in that sense, Allah has put them both to work. But beyond that, you think the sun gives us gives us thermal energy, warmth for us to survive. The moon sets the tides. The tides move and sets the cycles of rain, etc. Okay. كل يجري لأجل مسمى. Okay, each run for an appointed term, which basically means that everything is moving in constant time and motion. Everything is constantly transforming, right? Until an appointed time. That alludes to the Day of Judgment. So everything, the universe, ourselves, we're in constant motion. That's planned by Allah at every step, and every step is unseen, right? Even if we don't see it, like justice, it is all planned by Allah, even if we don't see it. But inevitably, until death, until the Day of Judgment, until death of us in the universe, which is proof of us meeting Allah, right? And this surah is going to go through lots of contrast. In this ayah, the contrast is between motion and the seas of motion. Right, next, so يدبر الأمر يفصل الآيات لعلكم بلقاء ربكم توقنون. Okay, يدبر. So Allah arranges al-amr, so the matter. يفصل الآيات. He details the signs. لعلكم, so that you may بلقاء, in the meeting, ربكم, with your Lord, توقنون, believe in certainty. So whatever we see around us are signs, right? Whatever we see around us are metaphorical. They're a metaphor to the Quran also being a sign, so that we believe in the certainty of al-haq, or the truth that Allah is trying to convey here. Okay, next ayah. So before we talked about the heavens, now we're talking about the earth. وَهُوَ الَّذِي مَدَّ الْأَرْضِ. Okay, so we target the Meccan audience, and he is the one who spread the earth, the flat earth. And the Meccans are very familiar with this because of the deserts. وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ وَأَنْهَارَ. Okay, and placed وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا, in it, رواسي. رواسي are mountains, وأنهار, rivers. Now, of course, obviously you'd think, I keep moving this, obviously that you'd think in a place where there are a lot of rivers, you'd appreciate the abundance of fruit. But in Mecca, there weren't any fruit that was growing there. Instead, it was coming from other places, other cities. And this was to fulfill the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay, next. وَمِن كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ جَعَلَ فِيهَا زَوْجَيْنِ اثْنَيْنِ. Okay, so from all the fruits he made in it 2 pairs. زَوْجَيْن. Now, زَوْجَيْن means pairs, and we can use this to look at the entire surah, contrasting the night, the day, Shams and Qamar, sun and the moon, sky and earth, the mountains and flat land. يغشي الليل النهار, and Allah covers the night with the day, but the alternative accepted reading is Allah covers the day with the night. Both are accepted. إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. Okay, so indeed in that there are signs لقوم, for people يتفكرون, who ponder, تفكر, right? When you look around you in nature, look around the flat land, the mountains, the rivers, you think of these as metaphors, and only if you think of it and ponder, if you are the people who ponder, you'll understand the metaphorical link to the Quran also being a sign, right? Right, next ayah. وفي الأرض قطع متجاورات وجنات من أعناب وزرع ونخيل. Okay, so وفي الأرض, and in the earth, قطع, there are tracks. So قطع متجاورات, so there are neighboring lands, right? وجنات, right? Jannah doesn't necessarily mean the gardens of the hereafter. Here it's referring to like fresh gardens, fresh green grass land, okay? And on that land there are grapevines, crops, date palms, lots of different types of fruit and plants. Sinwan are date palms without branches, and غير sinwan, basically date palms that do have branches, right? this highlights the agricultural diversity on the earth. يسقى بما واحد يسقى بماء واحد. So all of these different kinds of fruit and plants are watered by the same entity or the same source, the same water, right? Throughout the Quran, water is a metaphor for the Quran or for revelation, because like water, the Quran is pure and purifies. Water brings life to the earth, while the Quran brings life to the hearts, life to societies, right? ونفضل بعضها على بعض في أكل, but we cause to exceed some of them over others in fruit. So some trees may have more fruit than others. Some fruit might be bitter, some fruit might be less ripe, with the same water and different results. So you can see this is a metaphor for the different types of people that revelation comes down upon. It's the same revelation, the same Quran, it doesn't change, but the responses that people have will be different. Like the fruit that comes from the same water, there are different fruits. Therefore, there are different responses from the same revelation. إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون. So indeed, في is in, ذلك is that, لآيات, there are signs, right? لقوم, قوم is people, قوم, ناس, people, right? يعقلون. Now, this just refers to the people who look around them, just pondering the signs around them, because when you do ponder these signs, you come back to the metaphor. The Quran is purifying, and you come back to the themes of human response, human nature, when we look at nature itself. So Allah highlights the people who use reason in contrast to the people who do not use reason, right? فَإِن تَعْجَبْ فَعَجَبٌ قَوْلُهُمْ. So if you're astonished of people's disbelief, because there's some things that are ajib, which are, it's a word that connotes to weird or astonishing. So if you find that their disbelief is astonishing or weird, what the disbelievers are saying is even weirder. What are they saying? أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا أَإِنَّا لَفِي خَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ. So they ask, when we're dust, will we be created as new? So that question that they're asking isn't a genuine question. They find resurrection unbelievable. But the reason why it's highlighted here as weird, that they don't understand or believe resurrection, is because they witnessed from the previous ayah that rain, is able to, when it's sprinkled over plants, it's able to help sustain life. In the same way the Quran does the same. But isn't resurrection the same? You bring life back to the dead. Witnessing this in agriculture, if you look around you and you're still denying that resurrection is a possibility, is very shocking, right? أولئك الذين كفروا بربهم. So if you disbelieve in a resurrection, you're ultimately disbelieving and rejecting Allah or your Lord, and that is kufr. If you think about it, if you disregard resurrection, you're disregarding all justice and what is to come in the afterlife, and that in and of itself is kufr. وَأُولَئِكَ الْأَغْلَالُ فِي أَعْيُنِهِمْ. وأولئك الأغلال في أعناقهم. Okay, so أولئك and those, الأغلال. Now أغلال are the iron chains. So there are those people are going to have iron chains around their necks. These aghlal in particular bind multiple people together, and so when you yank a singular chain, they're all yanked together. These people that are together are those who they've helped misguide, or those that they were sinning with together, or those that they had abandoned with responsibility. So let's say they had responsibility towards their neighbour or their family member or their friend that they saw going down a dark path, but they didn't try and have a conversation with them, they just abandoned them. So in the same sense, you are responsible for people you have a responsibility over. Sorry, that's a redundant explanation, but those are the people that will be binded together with. وَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ, those are the companions. أصحاب, the companions, النار, the fire. هُمْ فِيهَا خالدون. Okay, so they're going to be there in Jahannam forever, and that their fate is sealed, and it's a result of the consequences of their actions. The next ayah, وَيَسْتَعْجِلُونَكَ بِالسَّيِّئَةِ قَبْلَ الْحَسَنَةِ. Okay, what this means, وَيَسْتَعْجِلُون, and they ask you to hasten or to bring quickly. السَّيِّئَةِ means the evil, قبل means before, الحسنة means the good. So what this essentially is talking about is the fact that they're asking for those warnings that the Prophet talk about, the Day of Judgment, etc. When they're talked about, the disbelievers ask, bring it on, bring it now, we want to see it happen, we want to see these punishments. But of course any sane human wouldn't ask for that, because these people are mocking the warnings. وَقَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ oh my god Bismillah. وَقَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمُ oh my god وَقَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمُ الْمَثُلَاتِ. Okay, so what verily before them similar punishments had occurred. Now al-mathulat comes from the root word mathal. Mathal means an example. Mathulat specifically is an example to warn the people. Okay, so for example, the punishments of the people of Thamud, the people of Ad, these are historical evidences that the Meccan people have access to, where they can visualize the punishments from the ruins that exist from those people, right? The ism fa'il, or the verb form of al-mathulat, connotes imagining. People who can imagine what has happened can imagine only because they know of the stories of the punishment. So it's not that they're ignorant. They do know those stories, right? And I guess the Quran as it is a mercy. If we had if we had a miracle beyond the Quran that we could see, like from the stories of the past of Thamud and Ad, the story of the she-camel, right? The she-camel was abused. It was a miracle, and immediately after rejecting the she-camel as a sign, the punishment was immediate. If we had a miracle beyond the Quran that we rejected, we would have had immediate punishment, which is why the Quran, despite it being a miracle, it's a mercy of itself. Okay, so وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَذُو مَغْفِرَةٍ لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى ظُلْمِهِمْ. Okay, so indeed your Lord is full of forgiveness, maghfirah, لِلنَّاسِ عَلَى ظُلْمِهِمْ, for mankind for the wrongdoing. Or ظلم means like a darkness. In this context, it means wrongdoing or sin, right? Allah is full of maghfirah because He is Al-Ghafur. Despite disbelievers continuously demanding punishment, Allah is Rahim. He has a lot of rahmah to be able to offer forgiveness continuously. The Quran in and of itself is an example of that mercy. The delay of the punishment is a mercy. The delay of the Day of Judgment is a mercy. And until the Day of Judgment, Allah will continue to offer that forgiveness and mercy, or until death. Okay. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَشَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. And indeed, your Lord is severe in the penalty. لَشَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ. It doesn't mean that Allah's forgiveness equates to weakness or inability, because Allah is able to give severe punishment. But Allah encompasses an infinite mercy and an inevitable perfect justice, because Allah is Al-Adil as well as Ar-Rahman. Okay, so because Allah is Al-Adil, He's the just, it gives us the foundations of tawakkul and the concept of human forgiveness. So as humans, we don't necessarily have to forgive, but it's looked greatly upon. If we can forgive people, that's great, because that's one of Allah's beautiful traits, to be forgiving. But that's what we try to strive ourselves towards being forgiving, despite it being hard to forgive as well continuously. And that's why Allah embodies the concept of forgiveness, because Allah is God. But even if we can't forgive, that's okay, it's not a sin. Let's say, for example, there's a dangerous situation and you don't want to forgive, or you don't have closure from the situation. Is the right course to forgive? It might be different for everybody, but you yourself don't need to deal with that situation personally. It's okay, because you can hand it to Allah, and you believe in qadr, you believe in resurrection, right? You believe in Allah's justice. So you acknowledge the dhulm or the hurt, and you release the need for closure from humans. The only entity that you need anything from is Allah, right? And beyond that, you release the need or needs from other humans, whether that be closure. Which is why, despite Allah being Al-Alim, Allah knows the objective truth. Allah knows it all, so you don't even need to justify what had happened or tell Allah, because Allah knows. Allah knows it from your perspective, from their perspective, and Allah will deliver precise justice and is very capable and follows His perfect morality. And Allah is very capable of delivering لشديد العقاب. Okay, alhamdulillah. So if we just want to summarize, Ayah 1 talks about the signs, Ayah 2 talks about the heavens and motion, Ayah 3 talks about the earth and the pairs contrasting, Ayah 4 talks about the different plants as a metaphor for the reactions of different people. Ayah 5 talks about how it's weird that people don't believe in resurrection despite the signs when they look around them. Ayah 6 talk about how people mock, and the fact that previous punishments exist, and that Allah is forgiving but is also capable in delivering severe punishment. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.